Chat Cave with Mike and Max.
Welcome back to the Chat Cave here on McGTV, youtube.com/MikeMcGTV. Follow me on Twitter at MikeMcGTV. And as always, my co-host in the Chat Cave is here with me, Mr. Max Andrews from the Three Geeks.
What's up? How's it going?
It's going all right. It has been a hot minute since we've done a Chat Cave.
Yeah, I've recently been pondering how come it always takes so long between chat caves, but I feel like it's just the convergence of awesomeness can't happen, too many times in a row, or else the universe will rip apart.
Yeah, let's go with that, and not the fact that we adult. But thanks for being patient, listeners. I know it takes a while to get some of these podcasts together, but when they do, they're audio bliss, I'm sure. Today, I want to pick Max's brain first before we get into our main topic. I wanted to pick his brain about a certain landmark that occurred last month. Max, do you have any idea what this landmark was that occurred?
Did the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl?
In April or May? It is, for Batman fans, a milestone because Detective Comics number 1000 came out. Landmark issue, as it says on the cover.
They say landmark issue on the cover?
Yep.
Lame.
I'm full disclosure here. Max, you have not read Detective 1000 yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, so this is going to be a fun part of the podcast where I'm going to try to sell Max on the prospect of reading Detective 1000, because I know in this day and age, with all the ups and downs that take place in comic book world especially, it's hard for us to sink our teeth into a sole issue from time to time, but I'm going to try my best to sell Max on this.
Well, I mean, it being Batman is points 4, but then it says landmark issue on the cover, that's points against, right? You're taking up good space to write landmark issue here.
Well, let me describe the cover to you, at least the one that I have. It's a Jim Lee cover.
All right, that's a plus.
Pro, Batman's on the cover. Other pro, Alfred and Nightwing are in the background.
Is it old school Nightwing or new school Nightwing? Got the red Nightwing or the blue one?
Oh, it's blue Nightwing. He looks like he's chowing down on a cookie that Alfred's giving him from a tea tray.
Okay, I like it.
This could be a pro or a con either way. For you, I'm not sure. Damian is on the back of the cover and takes up almost a whole 50% of the back cover.
That's a con. I'm not a huge Damian Wayne fan. They haven't really... Yeah, I never really got sold on Damian Wayne. And a lot of the new movies have starred Damian Wayne, and he's just terrible.
This could be a pro or a con. He's beaten up Bane.
I don't know. I'm in the middle for that one. I don't know how I feel.
Pro or con, right behind him, Catwoman is reclining in a chair and looks to have beaten up the Penguin.
Okay, I like that.
Pro or con for you here, Harley Quinn is floating through the air in the background, like she's doing a somersault or something with a baseball bat through the air.
Okay, con. Okay. I'm more and more just I think we need less Harley Quinn in the world. Okay. I feel like she's just getting crammed down our throats.
Pro or con for you here? I'm guessing pro. The whole Bat family has thoroughly trounced his rogues gallery. Riddler, Killer Croc, Scarecrow, they're all tied up and beaten up. Batman has the Joker in a chokehold, but it looks more like he's got him in, the bro type of chokehold, posing for a picture.
All right, no, I like that.
Final pro or con for you here. All this is taking place in the Batcave.
Pro.
Okay. I wouldn't know how you'd feel being all these villains somehow found their way into the Batcave, but...
It had to finally happen at some point in time, right?
Yeah. Well, here's a con with regards to the promise that cover presents, is that there's no story in here at least to my recollection, that has all the villains finding their way into the Batcave.
So yeah, it is just cover art, so there's nothing like in canon, I guess, that we have to worry about. So that's fine. That's totally fine.
Now I'm going to try to sell you on 3 highlights that I personally have in this issue, and I'm going to try not to spoil too much for you with regards to the actual story content. Let's start off with the first one. This is called Batman's Longest Case. It's written by Scott Snyder and art by Greg Capullo, who did the New 52 run.
I actually like a lot of their art.
Okay. So, basically, the gist of this is Batman discovers something, and he goes through the process by which he deducts, and ascertains information that leads him to these conclusions, and he uncovers a secret in this short little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-page story.
Okay.
I feel the pro to this story is that it gets into great detail. Like, Scott Snyder was really good in his run about giving a lot of breadth and detail into all the little minutia of how Batman deduces things, of how he comes to conclusions. So I think that's a benefit. This could make or break it for you. Without giving too much away, the revelation halfway through the story is that Batman is apparently the last person to find out about this secret. Like, there's a whole lot of other people who are in on this. I'm not going to give away who it is, but everyone is kind of in the know about this before him, and they're just waiting on him to catch up.
It's not like a surprise birthday party, is it?
No, it's nothing with regards to that. No. It's nothing that's really sentimental, let's say.
All right, cool. I'm down. I like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. I haven't read all of their run on Batman, but I really liked when they did that whole thing where the Riddler just like shuts down the whole city and it kind of like the Dark Ages a little bit. So that was pretty cool.
So you can handle kind of Batman not on top of the game 100%.
Yeah, it's good when Batman has, like, he's on the back foot, like, because he's prepared for everything. So it's an interesting story when he's not.
So flabbergasted Batman, okay by you. Now I'm going to give you the last thing Batman says in this particular story, and I'm going to give it to you in the impression of Owen Wilson.
Okay.
Wow. That is his last line of dialogue in this story. Batman is actually amazed by something, and he says, wow.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. I think I saw somewhere where Owen Wilson actually makes like $83,000 every time he says wow in a movie.
So you're saying Batman's like having to divvy up some royalties at some point?
I mean, I hope like you just whenever you say wow, you're like, did I make $83,000? Because then I'm just not doing as well as Owen Wilson is doing.
Are you sold yet? Is that a yay or a nay for you for Batman's longest case?
So far with the cover and the Greg Capullo Scott Snyder story, I'm down to read Detective Comics 1000.
All right. The next story I'm going to share with you, Manufacture for Use. It's written by Kevin Smith. Now, some of his other earlier stuff with Batman's interesting. Again, not going to give too much away about it. It details a lot of different times in Batman's career where he's come face to face with villains. This guy runs a black market on criminal memorabilia.
Okay.
And so he's basically being given a tour like, oh, this is Mr. Freeze's gun, or this is Firefly's helmet, or anything like that. And then while he's talking about it, you see a flashback to when that villain engages with Batman.
Right. Okay.
And as you continue the story, you'll notice that all these flashbacks tend to focus on the villain striking Batman in a particular place.
It's just like 20 stories of when Batman got kicked in the nuts.
I was about to stop you there and be like, it's not groin related, but it's all leading somewhere. And they eventually make it to one particular piece of criminal memorabilia that Matches takes a particular interest in, and there's a reason why. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I think it's actually kind of brilliant why he's drawn to this particular artifact.
All right. I dug Kevin Smith's Daredevil. I was not the biggest fan of his Batman just because he made Batman piss himself, which is why coincidentally I thought immediately that it was all groin action, but no, I'm down. I like Kevin. I definitely respect Kevin Smith as a writer, so I am 100% down. Who did the art in this one?
This one was done by Jim Lee.
Also, yeah. Okay. Yes.
You're so far still sold.
Yes.
And the final bit of story that I want to present to you, it's called Batman's Greatest Case. Tom King is the writer. He does current Batman. And Tony S. Daniel and Joelle Jones are the artists.
Nope, I'm not. These are all new people for me because I'm not current with the Batman.
Bruce has gone AWOL. We know where he is or what he's doing, but the entire Bat family is waiting on him for something. And when he arrives, it is kind of sentimental and sweet, but it's all his idea.
All right.
So I don't know. Sometimes it's interesting to have Batman be the one who takes a more proactive side at being sentimental.
Nah, that's gonna be a low for me. Yeah. No, I feel like Batman. You gotta he's a human, but it's very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when some guy looks like he's hemmed up or whatever, and then the next thing you know, he's got a job as a security guard at Wayne Tech or something like that.
Right.
That's the way that Batman works, and I don't know if this is the surprise birthday party deal, right? So is that
kind of, sort of? He's pretty much stereotypical Batman through it. Even though it's his idea, this sentimental gesture, he's very subdued and reserved about it. He's not smiling ear to ear over it.
Throw everybody a pizza party, an office pizza party, and
oh, we're getting to the pizza parties. You just wait up. Maybe this will convince you. Here's the roster in this story: Batwoman, Red Hood, Batgirl, Nightwing, Alfred, Damian, whatever the name of that new kid is, yellow-suited Bat Kid.
I don't even know.
He's he came out of Endgame with, not Endgame Avengers, but Endgame the Joker storyline from a couple years back.
He got snapped into existence?
Yeah. So that kid, Catwoman, Red Robin, yum, the Spoiler, the Huntress, what does she go by now? Orphan? That's the former Batgirl, the one who couldn't talk. I think they call her.
Yes, Orphan.
Yeah, I think they call her Orphan now. And you'll love this: Ace the Bat Hound with a domino mask on his face.
Yes. Okay. I was down on this until Ace the Bat Hound. Now it comes together. I mean, hey, dogs, they're better than people, right?
Yeah, sure. Take your word for it. I was bit by one a couple years back, so. Yeah.
Oh, man, that sucks. I've been bit by a dog too, but it's got two solid things that I want to read. The third one, I'll read because I bought it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's more stories in there. Those were just the three highlights. I'm like, okay, this is where I'll get the barometer set on him.
So as far as the three stories of note, then I'd say you're 2 out of 3, and I still want to get it.
All right. Well, it should be available. They're Unfortunately, won't be one available signed by Kevin Smith anytime soon because that's how I
Oh,
got
we
mine.
can't
Yes.
all have Kevin Smith tweeting about our art that to be presented to him. I guess not all of us are that lucky.
Yeah, well, not all of us will wake up at 5 a.m. to drive to Red Bank.
Yeah, so there you go.
Well, honestly, I had no idea that he had written anything for Detective 1000 until I got there. I knew he was signing for his Hit Girl stuff, which actually is a fun little series as well. I recommend that. But yeah, Kevin Smith came back to Jersey to do a signing. I happen to live about 30 miles away from Red Bank, so I drove out that way. Max and Dan and I took a trip out there one time to the Secret Stash and waited in line and became lucky number 100 out of 150 people who could get a signed thing from Kevin Smith and take pictures with him and spend some time talking to him. So I was able to give him. What did I do? Shoot, I can't. Oh, the Carrie Fisher Peter Mayhew tribute picture. I did this picture of after Peter Mayhew passed away of Chewbacca and Princess Leia kind of walking off into the light together and posted it on Twitter. Went over really well on Twitter, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give Kevin Smith the full color version because it's May the 4th, and he's a big Star Wars fan. He knew Carrie. He knew Peter. I think he'd like it. So he, the fun part about it was when I went in to go talk to him, had all my stuff, and he was ready to sign all that stuff, put that to the side. He just wanted to talk to me for a little bit. And I just happened to have the picture in my hand, and he looked at it, and he's like, holy shit, I've seen this on Twitter. And I'm like, oh, holy crap. Like, I was really flabbergasted at that point because I'm like, I didn't expect Kevin Smith to see. He's like, you did this? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, don't tell me you're giving me. It's like, yeah, I'm giving it to you. And so he's like, we're putting this up in the store. So I have to go back to Red Bank and see if they actually did that. But
that'd be so awesome if you made the wall.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's like, because he was like genuinely like touched, I guess, and floored. And I happened to mention that I too am living in Jersey and do a podcast on Batman with a black guy, and he liked that. So we're following in your footsteps, Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin.
We're just Bat fans doing what we love.
Yeah. There was a time Mark Bernardin liked one of our when I tweeted out one of our podcasts, he liked it.
All right.
So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. That's the OGs.
There you go. So,
all right.
That's my Kevin Smith story. I spent a full day out in rainy, then sunny, then rainy weather for Kevin Smith, but it was worth it. Nice guy. Skinny as hell now, though.
Yeah, he had that heart attack, so he's he's vegan and everything, and then getting in shape. He lost a bunch of weight. I don't know, man. I miss it. I'm glad he's healthy.
Yeah.
And you want to see him hang around for a long, long time, but I miss fat Kevin Smith.
Take it from me, dude. Like he was still just as jovial as whenever he talks about stuff at conventions or whenever we listen to him on a podcast. Like he was just as enthusiastic. Like he was more enthusiastic than I was. I mean, not that I wasn't, but I was, kind of shell shocked.
Yeah.
I was kind of at a loss for words at times, and he just kept it going. He was just like, "Oh man, that's awesome. That's great, man." And they're like, "Podcasting's fun." I'm like, "Yeah. It's hard to record sometimes." so we only do it every couple of months.
But no, it's cool. I don't know. I just when you think of Kevin Smith, you think of Silent Bob. You're thinking of Lunchbox and wanting to be a fat guy. And if he could be, 100% healthy and totally fine and a fat guy,
yeah, I get what you mean. It's like Santa Claus almost. He's the Santa Claus of geekdom.
Yes, exactly that. You just want him to be a fat guy.
Like a jovial fat guy. I get that.
But all right, I think we've digressed enough about Kevin Smith.
No, but thanks, Kevin, for the stories, for the signing, for Detective 1000, your part in it. And definitely, yeah, I'd recommend Detective 1000. Let me know, Max, whenever you get a chance to see it or read it. what your thoughts are.
I was kind of waiting for it to come on the DC app, but I don't think it's there yet. So
It's not. Get on it, DC.
Well, I mean, I should buy the paper copy anyway. It is a landmark issue.
Yeah, that is my one con against it is like you don't have to tell me it's a landmark issue. It's got the number 1000 on it.
Right? Like, I think we can put two and two together. We are Batman fans, like.
Yeah. We're not the world's greatest detectives, but we're pretty bright.
Like, I feel like if you can't figure that out, then, maybe you need to read Archie or something.
What you got against Archie, man?
No, I'm just saying, like, read the old school Archie comics. It's all like, really short, really quick, easy reads. You don't have to do any math.
Hey, you ready for the mother of all segues?
Yes.
So speaking of Archie comics, guess which property had an Archie comic series for a while?
Which property?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Did they?
Yes. I owned probably 50 out of the 72 issue run.
72 issues.
Yeah. They made it to 72.
Oh my goodness. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely absurd. That's super awesome. Goodness sake. Archie and the Ninja Turtles. And they've been taking Archie to a lot of new places just to kind of get some buzz. He's had a lot of, it's sort of like Scooby-Doo back in the day with him.
Mm-hmm.
This is like Archie with the special guest of the week.
Not just Archie, but the Ninja Turtles, they've crossed over with a bunch of properties. Like, back when they were still the indie comic, they crossed over with, what's his name? Cerberus, the Aardvark. Yeah, they are able to transition into a lot of different mediums and characters' worlds, including, like I said, Batman. We talked a little bit about the Batman TMNT crossover, the first one that happened a couple years back. We actually did a chat cave about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good comic with good art. I really enjoyed that one. This seems to have pulled a lot from that.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the animated movie that was recently released from both Warner Brothers and Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah. So now I see it. Yeah, that's definitely Nickelodeon. Okay.
Once I said that, it's like all the gates open to you. You're like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Yes. I am not a huge fan of the animation style in this one, but it makes sense when you say Nickelodeon. I know where it came from. This is actually kind of higher end Nickelodeon animation.
Well, I'm not sure if it's either Nickelodeon Studios or Warner Brothers, because Nickelodeon just owns the Ninja Turtles property, and they do a bunch of stuff with it, obviously, like the more recent Michael Bay produced movies, the 2012 animated series, which is really good, actually. It's a really good animated series that was computer generated. And this one. What is it about the animation that you don't really vibe to?
I just think it feels kind of cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reminding me of like the Nicktoons kind of like, so it's like a higher end Danny Phantom or Fairly Odd Parents.
yeah, I can see that. That is one of my quibbles, I guess, about the movie overall. Is it's certainly, you can kind of feel that it was done on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the budget is well placed, at least in this, because during the action sequences, those at least are pretty dynamic. Whenever they're just talking to each other, yeah, it's just clearly static cells.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I do like the way Batman is drawn, and I like the costume that they put him in, the more older school, the gray and blues.
Mm-hmm.
So as a fan of all that, I like how they definitely like distinguish the Turtles as different.
What is it like? Raphael is a bit more brutish looking.
Yeah, and he's got scars too.
Yeah, he's got scars. Donatello's a skinnier kind of turtle.
Yeah, and Michelangelo and Leonardo are just more just kind of like average and smoother, but yeah, like you can definitely tell them apart.
Mm-hmm.
And, I like that. Yeah, that harkens more to me back to like the original Turtles, where it's like they all wore the same mask.
Yeah.
So you had to tell them apart in different ways, but yeah, no, I mean I don't want to seem like I'm coming down too hard on the animation, but yeah, when they do get things moving, it's pretty clean, and I like that. So yeah, it's not all bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting down on the animation, because I think that's kind of a feature of these movies that I think goes through a lot of the DC animated stuff too. Is the action sequences in these movies are actually really tight and concise and energetic, but when it comes down to characters just talking to each other, they tend to just recycle a lot of animation and tend to just hold on like still frames more than anything else. Like I saw that in the more recent, what was it, the Reign of the Superman.
Yes, for sure.
Like the action sequences in that, fantastic. But whenever it's like Lois talking to Wonder Woman in the restaurant, like I remember that specifically. It was just the only thing that was moving was their lips. No other like kind of shades of movement or emotion going on.
Yeah, the only thing they didn't have was like somebody like physically walking a static image across the screen.
I'm surprised they didn't just do the whole thing, back in the old school animation where they just cut out the mouth and you have someone actually put the mouth or is actually speaking the lines.
Yes.
Like in Pulp Fiction. Oh, that paddlefoot.
Oh, for sure. But I guess that's how you save money. That's you cut the corners you can, but it does pull you out of it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The in this one in particular, there was a scene where I think it's when we kind of already spoiled the plot of this in our chat cave way back when, so I don't feel bad about spoiling the plot now. Because, like you said, it does pretty much lift from that first crossover, the entire story. When Shredder meets Ra's al Ghul for the first time, or they meet up in the movie for the first time, you can tell, like, Ra's al Ghul has a lot of animation on him, but then you'll cut to Shredder, who's just, like, looping between looking pissed off and looking surprised.
Yeah, and it's hard to do with like just your eyes pretty much to emote like what's
Right.
going on. Uh, but yeah, that's exactly right.
They just cycled between those two expressions back and forth, back and forth. It was like, yeah.
I can't tell if you're if you're just shocked at what I'm saying or you don't understand.
Are you having epilepsy? What's going on right now?
No.
Was there anything else that you were kind of like, yeah, they could have done better on that, or besides the animation?
No, I think the voice acting is solid. Uh, I didn't feel too. I didn't feel like they're writing down. Writing was okay. So yeah, no, yeah. I dug it pretty much. It's just like every now and again, I did not like the animation, but that's just where you can tell where they're trying to cut corners.
Yeah. I will say I was surprised at how dark the movie went. Because, I know the comic book was fairly dark, but was still, could be engaging for all ages type of thing. Here, though, because it's animation and because the Turtles, for many, many years now, have been known as being, like, more family friendly, I was afraid they were going to kind of soften up the story to some degree, but no, they did not.
Yeah, and it's always Batman obviously has a lot of adult themes, but like it's like when you introduce the Joker and Scarecrow,
Mm-hmm.
you're towing a line where like you either have to make them very hokey or they're super sinister, because like they're drugging people.
Right.
So like that's always a little more, like yeah, you can get darker, and yeah, they didn't shy away from it. And then like the Foot Clan, they like straight murk people in this thing too. So it's
Shredder murks his own dudes. Like
yeah, that was awesome. That was so cool.
Before Batman's ready to interrogate a Foot Clan member, and then all of a sudden, thunk, shuriken in the forehead. It's like, holy God.
Solid with blood too. I think there was blood.
Oh yeah, there's blood aplenty. Like there's blood aplenty. One of the the Scarecrow infects Leonardo, and he has like a nightmare vision of like turtle corpses. I'm like, what the hell? One of the turtles gets their arm broken, and it's like you can hear like the crunch. It's
Yeah,
nasty.
so I think they're bringing. I mean, what is this? Is this PG-13?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're staying at the harder end of PG-13, and I can dig that.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's more blood in this than in like the entire freaking Chris Nolan Batman movie.
That is true. Yeah. They don't
Um,
shy away from a little bit of blood and guts in this.
I'm down. The Turtle Van versus the Batmobile. What's your favorite of this one?
Well, I mean, I've never been a big fan. I like the Turtle Van for nostalgia's sake. I've never been a big fan of it as like a badass vehicle. I'm just like, yeah, that's a funny idea. So obviously the Batmobile. And of course, it's got all those buttons that are just so irresistible to being pressed.
It does have a lot of buttons. It does release my inner Dee Dee from Dexter's Lab.
Oh, you were thinking that as soon as like, Michelangelo, press some buttons.
Oh man. No, I just yeah. Whenever there's 1,000 buttons, it's like, ooh, what does this button do? That's just the first thing that goes through my head. I can't even help it.
There's a surprising amount of comedy in this that I thought actually worked pretty well.
Yeah, and with Michelangelo, you have to have a certain amount of comedy is expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just exactly how much you're gonna pull off. And yeah, I don't think they brought it too far. And it because again, it's like it's a very interesting dichotomy with you have the seriousness of Batman versus the ridiculousness of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I know we mentioned earlier, or you mentioned earlier, like Damien's not really one of your faves. I thought he was perfectly fine in this.
Yeah, I mean, like minimal. You just keep him at a minimum, and
Mm-hmm.
and he can be all right. But yeah, no, he's a solid character. I wasn't upset at him. And when it's not about him, that leaves him open to to be liked.
Yeah. Like his first interaction with the turtles in the Batcave, that was pretty much beat for beat kind of what happened in the comic book. I liked his reaction to when the turtle van goes into like turbo mode.
Yes.
He's like, okay, that's kind of cool. And I had to smirk a little bit when he and Donatello teamed up with bow staffs.
Yep. 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 It was a good moment. Yeah. No, I won't take points away for Damian Wayne in this one. He definitely they used him correctly and just enough.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got to talk about Batman Shredder fights.
Ooh, yeah. I was actually a huge fan of these. Just solid work, and that's exactly what you wanted from. Yeah, it was good. It was just solid good. When Shredder starts doing his like ancient Japanese secret techniques,
Well, he's about
I'm
to
down
do
for
a
all.
Hadouken, essentially.
Oh man, for sure. Oh, that would have been great. But no, it was solid. And again, like for the action animation, they did like up their frames, I think, and really want to get a lot of detail in there, and then show a lot of stuff going on. So like they were real good fights, and it was really fun to watch.
And for any old school, or not old school, but for any fans of just the '87 Ninja Turtles, you're probably thinking like Shredder versus Batman. Shredder was a joke. I'm like, they go a completely different route with this Shredder. This Shredder
Yeah.
is like, this is like hardcore, like 1990 movie Shredder.
Yes.
He,
This Shredder ain't playing around, and I mean like in the first fight when when they're sizing when Batman and Shredder are kind of sizing each other up, and like Shredder's cutting up stuff with his little arm, his gauntlets, and
Yeah.
like yeah, no, it's legit. It's legit. I'm 100% down for them. They were better than I thought they were going to be.
there's quite a few nods to TMNT lore overall. Like the Shredder, his first like appearance, he enters the same way he entered in that rooftop fight in the 1990 movie. Like the fast drop down and then the slow motion rise up.
Yeah.
That's exact same shot almost.
I mean, I think it was more badass in this one because he just killed that dude.
Yeah. I think Donatello at one point says Bossa Nova, which is a fun little gag from the Corey Feldman dialogue.
Yeah, and I dig, because it looks like they're ninjas. Like, and the Foot Clan is a bunch of ninjas. So I'm glad, like, they took Shredder kind of hardcore. And, anyone who's going to be doing business with Ra's al Ghul needs to be legitimately hardcore.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was down. I liked how they did Shredder. It was solid.
There was some. I want to say there was also some other subtle jokes that they threw in there for like not just fans of Batman and Ninja Turtles, but other stuff. Like Baxter Stockman is in this
Yes.
as a mutant fly, and he sounds eerily like Jeff Goldblum. It's not Jeff Goldblum, but it sounds like Jeff Goldblum. And part of me was thinking, like, did they do that on purpose?
Yes, they had to.
They had to.
Yeah, that was 100%. I loved it. That was so good.
Like, I'm like, that's actually kind of genius. That makes perfect sense. It's like,
yeah, no, that was good. It would have been super awesome if that actually was Jeff Goldblum. That would have just been the cherry.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. It was really good. I was just surprised to see him, as the character, because usually it's like like they're going to do a Krang something or other.
Right.
Well, yeah.
I think you throw in Krang into this particular story, it might become too bloated then, because then you're throwing in like dimensions, multiverse. Here, there's no dimensional angle at all. Like the Turtles just happen to live in this version of New York City that is right next door to Gotham.
Right, yeah, so it's more like the actual DC universe where, like Gotham is a real place and New York is a real place. And but so in this iteration, the Turtles exist and Batman exists all in the same world. So I thought that was really cool. It was just like, oh yeah, we can to do this thing, and they're all ninjas, so nobody's ever heard of each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Batman still is known as an urban legend, even though he blazes throughout Gotham in a car and everything like that. He's still considered an urban legend. So that makes sense that the Turtles would be like, they never actually officially heard of him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I like that. My favorite Batman is the Batman who, like people still wonder if he exists or not. I like that. Yeah, when they take Batman more into the spotlight, it kind of ruins it. But so I dug that, and yeah, again, like everyone's a ninja, so the whole point is no one ever sees or hears you until
Right.
It's too late.
Yeah, the Turtles are so ninja and so low key that you'll never even know that they exist. Plus, they live underground, so.
And yeah, and like with the opening scene with Batgirl, like I thought that was really cool. They're just like, okay, well, get in, get out. Like no one sees us, no one knows what happened, and Batgirl saw us because she's Batgirl.
I like the design they chose to go with in terms of animation whenever they had the Turtles moving around in shadow. Like, it is just moving shadows except for the color of bandana.
Right. Yep. I agree. I dug that for sure.
Do you feel like there was anything lost in not having other characters in it? Like, Splinter was in the original crossover, and he's absent in this one. They reference him. They say, like, oh, our dad's waiting for us back home or something like that, but...
No, I mean, I feel like they had to get a good split of Batman and Ninja Turtle characters, and they did a good job. I wasn't feeling like we missed out on anything. Splinter usually doesn't do much when they have him in there, so it's not like and yeah, it's not like that he doesn't exist or anything. He's just not there. And with the cities being so close, in this universe, like that's not too terribly weird.
Right. And of course they got to save something for a sequel, which they post credit us with.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, so no, I think it was a good mix because you got a lot of like one of my favorite things from the comic was all the different mutated Batman villains.
Yes.
and so you got some of that. You got all kinds of good stuff. So I thought it was solid. I wasn't missing out on anything.
Were you were impressed with animated Mr. Freeze polar bear?
Yes, it was acceptable. It was acceptable. That was my favorite part of the comic book, and they didn't disappoint. I was worried because it looked like Bane was going to become a bear at first.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh man, like that's not if he's a bear, they're not going to make Mr. Freeze a bear. But he's a tiger, so Mr. Freeze gets to be a bear, and I was down. I was 100% down.
I will say one of the funnier bits I saw in the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but it has to do with Poison Ivy. her introduction and how they deal with her is pretty funny.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. Yeah, you definitely gotta. We'll leave that. That'll be the one thing unspoiled.
Yeah, I'll leave that unspoiled. When I first saw people reacting to this unveiling of this movie, or the trailer at least, a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but there was a very vocal amount of people being like, "Boo! It ain't Kevin Conroy as Batman. It's Troy Baker." I liked his Batman in this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's doing double duty as Batman and Joker.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so there's that too. No, I dug Batman, the voice acting in this one. Normally I'm a Kevin Conroy, what do you call it? Purist.
Mm-hmm.
but no, it's good. If you're gonna do it, then you got to do it right. And I feel like this Batman brought some good Batman game. Yeah, it's just that. So he was legit. He did good work. I'm not mad about it. But normally, I say, like, if you're gonna do Batman, Kevin Conroy better just not be available to you at all. What are you doing? I'm sorry, I've got it on right now. I'm watching Leonardo do like the 5-finger death punch to.
Yeah, that was cool. I'm 16 and I learned that from a rat. I'm very happy that a lot of the beats in the comic made it into this version. Like Robin first interacting with him, Ra's al Ghul saying, like, once again, the detective sends children to fight his battles. Like, I just love those little moments. I'm glad they beefed him up a little bit, especially like that with regards to Leonardo. I like that some of the characters had some pretty good arcs. Like, that's actually going back to when he was hit with the Scarecrow stuff, and, you know, he's like, I gotta fight through the fear. I like that Batman and Shredder have this ongoing feud throughout the whole movie. Like, it's not, I mean, that's kind of cool to me, because sometimes, like, Batman will be the pragmatist and just be like, you know, tactically just take out who you think you can take out, but he's like, no, Shredder's mine. All y'all back off. His ass is mine.
I mean, you can't have any sort of Japanese culture without a duel, right? Like,
we got to talk about something here that, I don't know, it may divide us as friends, but so there's a pizza party at some point in this movie, and Batman does the New York fold. Were you pissed off or were you happy about that?
No, I believe in the New York fold.
There you go. Cool. We're still cool then.
I'm a folder myself, so this actually just made me feel real good because, you know, like, I know that Batman folds his pizza, and that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always an analog for New York.
Yeah.
So
I do it in public because I just, you know, for the sake of appearances. But when I'm home and lazy and I have leftover pizza, like, I don't bother with the fold for myself. But just for the sake of sophistication and appearances, I will do the fold because it does look cool.
I do the fold because the grease is gonna, you know, like, you get to direct where the grease runs out. Then at that point,
yeah, you determine the river where the river goes.
That level of control.
And it was precise too. Like, it was a sweet movement. That's where they spent the animation budget well on that fold.
On Batman's pizza fold. For sure.
There was someone who had a comment in a video I was watching about when they were reviewing Batman versus Ninja Turtles, and someone said something like, "Why is Damian eating pepperoni pizza? He's a vegetarian or vegan or something like that." I'm like, dude, who cares?
No, man, continuity. You can't have vegans eating. No, yeah, there's no way, dude. Like, the vegans probably all sensed the disturbance in the force when they depicted Damien eating this pepperoni. That is, that's a no, man. Like, you can't have that. I'm surprised they were able to still release the movie. To be honest.
When this fictional character who doesn't exist.
Yes, the fictional vegan eats fictional pepperoni. World
made of fictional animals from fictional animal byproducts.
Okay, are you a fan of the Batgirl costume, the newer one with the shoulder things?
Yeah, they got like the it's like clasps on the shoulders and the yellow boots, right? But they're like military style boots or something. They're not like thigh highs.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. It didn't bother me. No, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that costume.
It's the shoulder things that get me. I think that's it. I don't mind it except for those shoulder things.
Those fictional shoulder clasps on that fictional Batgirl costume.
I'm almost as pissed off as a vegan right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a design choice. Some people will dig it, some people won't. I mean, I kind of get it. It might seem a little too street casual, I want to say, for someone who's supposed to be like an urban legend vigilante. It's not as sleek as some of her earlier costumes were.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's because like everything else works for me. You know, I like how it's a little more military, but like you're still like a teenager. You know, kind of designed it or whatever. And yeah, I dig the boots. I like the colors. I just no, it's just those shoulder things. I don't know what it is.
You sound a lot like Kevin Smith right now when he was talking with Paul Dini about Batman Beyond. He was like, love Batman Beyond. The only thing I never liked, though, is I never had a cape on him. It's like, so if someone out there in artist world can make me a rendition of Batman Beyond with a cape, that'd be awesome. And then he's like, I can just imagine Bruce Timm being like, fuck you.
Oh, man. No, it's, I don't think Batman Beyond needs a cape. That was always a different Batman to me.
Yeah.
I disagree with Kevin Smith. I think he needs cape off of him. You know, the cape is for classic Batman.
I disagree with Kevin Smith from 5 years ago in a conversation that only one guy remembered.
Yeah. The beauty of the internet is I get to be indignant now about what he said then.
Oh, speaking about back then, I love the credit sequence where they had all the like classic Batman and Turtle covers that incorporated either or into them.
It's actually going right now. I'm watching it right now. It's super cool. I agree.
Oh, I guess what we're saying is just check out the movie.
It was fun. It was more fun than I thought it was. Like, again, like when you mix these IPs or whatever, there's a lot of room for it to be super hokey. And they brought a very good, very entertaining movie. And there's no, I don't feel like they go too far out of like to any like hardcore fan of either series is gonna be mad, you know?
Yeah, it's balanced pretty well. I was genuinely curious what your reaction was going to be to it, because I know a while back we were both really anticipating Batman Ninja when that first came out, and you can check out our review of that in another podcast. But you were kind of let down by that.
Oh, so let down. But like that was just like I couldn't even. I was not prepared mentally for the places they took Batman and Batman Ninja. Mm-hmm. That was a monstrosity, but no, this is solid. It like the comic books were solid, and this kind of pulls from that, but they do their own thing. I actually prefer, because the comic books was Krang, wasn't it?
I mean, he was mentioned. They're actually on the third crossover right now, where Krang is playing a big part of it, and he's actually a version of Krang that's sort of like the anti-Monitor from DC. So they're doing sort of like a Crisis on Infinite Earths with Ninja Turtles.
Huh. Interesting. I dig that. But so this is different. I like this universe where everything just kind of exists together, and it was a lot of fun. I was very happy with it.
Anything in particular you want to see them do in the sequel? Because I don't know if you've read the other crossovers since the first one or not, but I'm not sure really if the second and third crossovers, well, depending what they do with the rest of this third crossover, I don't know if it'd be a worthy enough sequel for the movie stuff.
Yeah, and they're kind of, like with the end credit scene, with the Shredder.
You don't want to spoil that one? Something interesting happens with Shredder. Just know that.
Yeah, so I don't know if I like that, but that's already going in a different direction.
Yeah.
But I think if they were to like take it to the Krang interdimensionalness and all that good stuff, that would be kind of cool. But again, in this universe, everything already exists together, so they don't need to dimension hop.
Yeah. Do you think, maybe introducing Krang, trying to bring, like, invasion force over from Dimension X, that'd be a little bit too big to incorporate the Bat family into, or would that be right up their alley?
No, I mean you could, but it would just be telling the story again. Though it's like
Yeah.
anything new. It's just like the Turtles versus Krang, except Batman happens to be there, so they're gonna have to add 7 more bad guys to make it a worthwhile like enemy to fight. Yes, I don't know. I don't know if they need to in this universe.
Right.
So I mean, I think I'm definitely down for a sequel. I'd like to see where they take it. I don't know if they could pull 3 out of this, but it was solid and I had fun. So I'd definitely like to see a sequel. But yeah, I don't think they need to follow where the comic books went, just because that's a harder story to tell. To make it all make.
And just because that's the source material as well, it's like you don't always have to follow verbatim the source material. Like,
Right.
honestly, I was pretty critical of the Death and Return of Superman stuff, but for what it is on its own, taking liberties with the source material, it worked out fine.
I liked Death more than Rain,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be perfect, and also you have to think about the medium in which you're telling the story.
Yeah.
So I thought they did a good job for what they were doing, and this is definitely. I would say this is as good as Death of Superman, maybe better, a little bit. So I'd say this is better. I was more entertained by it. I should say that.
Cool.
So this, and I'd be down to see a sequel, especially if Death of Superman got a sequel. This can get a sequel for sure.
Definitely have more of a sense of fun about it.
Yeah, it's not all about just. No, I had a blast. These guys are doing good work, and I'd like to see more.
All right. How many chatterangs would you give this? I think what we do. Let's narrow it. Not out of 10. Out of 5. Let's go with 5.
Out of 5.
Yeah.
Chatterang out of 5. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5 chatterangs, but that's not a bad thing.
That's around what I gave it. About a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah. It's just the right amount of fun of action, darkness, and humor. It blends really well, actually. So
yes,
give it a watch, and give the original comics a read too.
Oh yeah, it's all good stuff. I got to catch up on all the different. They've had Batman and Ninja Turtles, I guess, and then I've just been sitting here playing Overwatch. But it was a lot of fun the first go around, and while these things are while they're still putting out good material, you should check it out. I agree.
Before we sign off, I want you to think about this for a bit. What is your dream Batman Ninja Turtle team up in terms of characters? Which Bat character and which Ninja Turtle character do you feel are just, that's a sweet spot in terms of character interactions, or would be the sweet spot in terms of character interactions? So think about that for a bit.
Okay.
You've been listening to The Chat Cave here on McGTV. Again, youtube.com/Mike McGTV. I'm on Twitter at Mike McGTV. Follow Max and the 3 Geeks at 3geeks.ninja. And also on Twitter at 3Geeks Podcast. And check out some of their great stuff. I hope to be back on someday. I will be, I promise. But
it's got to happen, or at least for Wizard World OhioCon.
Yeah, for convention stuff. You'll definitely check out some more glorious remake or convention footage stuff. So yeah, have you been able to find a ideal Batman TMNT team up that you would really like? The idea.
Okay, Usagi Yojimbo and anybody. I just need more samurai rabbits in my life.
There you go. Hey, Usagi and Lady Shiva.
Oh God.
Because they're like polar opposite. He's honorable samurai Ronin character. She is
Um,
dark and conniving and malicious.
in all honesty, I would like to see Usagi and Jason Todd team up.
Oh, there we go.
I think they'd be having interesting back and forth.
Harvey Bullock and Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh man. Oh man. You sir, you think outside the box, and I.
Like it's a constant Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny routine they gotta do. Bebop and Rocksteady are causing problems and shenanigans, and Harvey Bullock's always the cop who's got to be like, "Oh, these guys again," and then I could just do Bebop and Rocksteady being like, "Oh, it's that Gotham cop again." Yeah.
I am 100% down for this.
The further adventures of Bullock, Bebop, and Rocksteady. There we go.
And I mean, what you can throw who Mendoza in there, partner up with Bullock.
Montoya. I was like, Renee Montoya, right?
Yes.
That's. I was like, wait, who's Mendoza?
Other Latin name here.
Can you imagine the dark, gritty Christopher Nolan version of that story?
Of Bullock versus Bebop and Rocksteady.
Rocksteady's like a surly drunk. I don't know.
Oh man.
No, I like that idea though. Usagi Yojimbo I think he'd gel well with a lot of especially a lot of the Batman ninja characters, or the Batman whenever he takes a trip out to the Himalayas or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only people he'd be boring with are Batman and Dick Grayson.
Yeah, they're the same characters. Oh, Usagi Yojimbo and the Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter would be like, you're late for a very important date," or something like that. I don't know. More tea, Mr. Mad March Hare. What we're basically doing right here, DC, is trying to convince you to let us write the next Batman TMNT crossover.
Oh man, if I could just sit in the room, that would be awesome.
Usagi Yojimbo just traveling throughout the entire Bat Pantheon, getting mixed up in adventures. Bullock and Bebop and Rocksteady doing random shit.
Usagi Yojimbo goes to Gotham for a weekend vacation or something.
There you go.
And ends up in a fucking 3-part miniseries.
And at the very end of it, Batman teaches him the New York fold.
Yep.
There
Put
we
a
go.
pin in it. That's money.
What a sweet button to that whole saga. All right. It's been fun, man. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you out there listening to our ramblings on Detective 1000 and Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Go check out both.
So catch us same chat time, same chat channel.